Florida is not a normal place. It's where alligators walk through neighborhoods. The ground can collapse beneath your feet, and the weather can turn dangerous in minutes. This is Florida like you've never seen before. Today, we're diving into 10 absurd facts about Florida. And some of these sound completely fake, but they're real. Number 1. Alligators are everywhere. Florida has a problem, and it has teeth. There are over 1 million alligators in this state. That's roughly one for every 20 people. But here's the crazy part. They're not just in the wild. They're everywhere. In neighborhoods, in lakes near homes, even swimming pools. There have been real cases where people walk outside and find a full-grown alligator in their backyard. And it doesn't stop there. Even golf courses. Players line up their shots, while massive gators walk across the grass, like they own the place. And honestly, they kind of do, because Florida's swamps, wetlands, and warm climate are perfect for them, which means one thing: you're never that far from a gator. Number 2, it's surrounded by water. Florida isn't just near the ocean. It's almost surrounded by it. Look at a map. The entire state stretches out into the water like a giant peninsula. On one side, the Atlantic Ocean. On the other, the Gulf of Mexico. Water in almost every direction. And this changes everything. The air feels different. The weather shifts fast. And life here revolves around the ocean. In most places, you're never far from the coast. But here's the catch. All that water doesn't just bring beauty. It brings danger. Warm oceans fuel powerful storms. And when they hit, Florida is first in line. So it may look like paradise, but it's also one of the most exposed places in the country. In Florida, the ocean isn't just scenery. It's a constant force. Number 3, lightning capital of the U.S. Florida isn't just sunny. It's explosive. This state is known as the lightning capital of the U.S. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. The sun heats the land. Warm, humid air rises. Clouds build fast. And then, everything changes. The sky darkens. The wind shifts. And suddenly, boom, lightning strikes across the sky. Again, and again, and again. Some areas see lightning almost every day during storm season. Thousands of strikes, hitting the ground, the water, even buildings. And the scariest part? It happens fast. One moment it's clear, the next, you're in the middle of a storm. No warning. In Florida, the sky doesn't just storm, it attacks. Number 4, sinkholes can swallow everything. Florida might look calm, but underneath, it's unstable. Beneath the ground, there's soft limestone that slowly dissolves over time. Little by little, it creates empty spaces underground. You can't see them. You don't feel them, but they're there, waiting. And then one day, it gives out. The ground suddenly collapses, and a massive hole opens up. These are called sinkholes. And the scary part? They happen without warning. No cracks, no signs, just instant collapse. Houses, cars, roads, swallowed in seconds. And it can happen almost anywhere. In Florida, danger doesn't always come from storms. Sometimes it comes from below. Number 5, it's extremely flat. Florida doesn't just look flat, it is flat. In fact, it's one of the flattest states in the U.S. No mountains, no steep hills, just long, open land stretching for miles. Dry for hours, and the view barely changes. The horizon stays wide. Everything feels level. But here's the surprising part. The highest point is only about 345 feet. It's called Britton Hill. And honestly, it barely feels like a hill. But this flatness isn't harmless. It creates real problems. Because when land is this low, water has nowhere to go. Flooding gets worse. Storms hit harder. And rising sea levels become a real threat. So while Florida looks calm, it's more vulnerable than it seems. Number 6, home to invasive pythons. Deep in southern Florida, something is moving. Silent, almost invisible, and it doesn't belong here. The Burmese python, one of the largest snakes on Earth. These snakes can grow over 20 feet long and disappear into the swamp like they were never there. But here's the crazy part. They're not native. They were introduced years ago, and now They've taken over parts of the Everglades, hiding in grass, sliding through dark water, waiting, and they don't just survive, they dominate. They eat almost anything, birds, deer, even alligators, and with almost no natural predators. Their numbers keep growing, quietly, changing the entire ecosystem. In Florida, it's not just nature you have to fear. It's when nature goes out of balance. Number 7. It feels like a sauna. Florida heat isn't just uncomfortable. It's overwhelming because it's not just temperature, it's humidity. The air is packed with moisture. So when you step outside, it feels heavy, thick, almost like walking through water. You start sweating instantly, even standing still. But here's the problem. Sweat doesn't evaporate properly, so your body can't cool down. The heat just builds and builds. A 90-degree day can feel like 100 plus, like being stuck in an outdoor sauna. Breathing feels harder, everything slows down, and your energy drains fast. And this isn't rare, it's everyday life. In Florida, the heat doesn't just surround you, it stays with you. Number 8. Hurricanes are common. Florida doesn't just get storms, it gets hit hard because this state sits in the path of powerful hurricanes. These storms form over warm ocean water, growing stronger as they move. Winds begin to spin, clouds tighten, and soon, a massive storm is heading for land. And Florida is often right in the way. When a hurricane hits, everything changes. Winds over 100 mph, roofs torn apart, trees ripped down, rain floods streets and homes. And then, storms surge. Ocean water pushes inland, swallowing everything. Entire neighborhoods can disappear underwater. And the scariest part? This happens almost every year. People prepare, evacuate, rebuild, and repeat. In Florida, nature doesn't just test you, it challenges everything. Number 9. Unique ecosystems. Florida isn't just chaotic, it's unique. Because in one state, you'll find ecosystems from completely different worlds. The Everglades, a slow-moving river of grass, full of alligators, birds, and wildlife. Off the coast, coral reefs, bright, colorful, filled with ocean life. And in between, mangrove forests, trees growing in water, roots twisting in every direction. But here's what makes it incredible. They're all connected. Water flows through them. Life moves between them. And a change in one affects everything. It's a fragile balance. And it's rare. In Florida, nature isn't just diverse. It's deeply connected. Number 10. A tropical state in the U.S. Florida doesn't feel like the United States. It feels tropical. Step outside, and you see palm trees, warm air, sunshine almost all year. The water? Clear blue tropical. Places like the Florida Keys feel more like the Caribbean than the U.S. Endless ocean, island vibes, a completely different atmosphere. But here's the strange part. This is still America. Same country, totally different world. From alligators, to hurricanes, to crystal clear water. Florida isn't just different. It's unpredictable, it's extreme, and it's unforgettable. This isn't just a state, it's a world of its own. If this surprised you, hit subscribe, because the next place we explore might be even more unbelievable.